it's Laura. So I want to spend a few minutes going over advertising guidelines and some examples and explanations. Now, I have included a document that has a lot of this information in the back end of the course, but this stuff does get updated on a pretty regular basis. So your best bet, if you want to look at anything that has changed, is to actually go ahead and go directly to Facebook and just type in, even in Google, Facebook ad guidelines, and it'll take you to this page. So of course, there's issues with data and privacy. So really, you can't use any privacy type data. So like if you know people's last names, or if you have personally identifiable information about them, for example, if they have a particular illness or whatnot. Like for example, I have a client that happens to do vasectomy reversals. I could not target ads to them saying, reverse your vasectomy, because that would be a medical personal identifying thing about them that would potentially break terms of service and whatnot. Not to mention the fact that I don't think men want to talk about their vasectomies online. Now, one of the things you have to take a look at is that images have different sizes, and there is a document that tells you what type of images have what different type sizes that you need for the ads. But an image cannot have more than 20% text in it. And there's actually a 20% tool that Facebook has that's in the quick links. Now, just so you understand this, that an ad that has, let's say, a logo in it that has some text, that's okay. But if you have just an image like this, that is not going to get approved. Now, of course, you can't have political, sexual, or other sensitive issues. Remember, Facebook is family friendly. Anything that's too gory or scary also won't get approved. Anything too sexually explicit will not get approved. Although I do sometimes see these things getting approved, and it's kind of interesting. Here's a real interesting one. Images cannot portray non-existent functionality. Like, for example, last week I tried to get an ad approved that had an image in it because it went to a video, and the actual image had a little click thing on it that, as if it was a video. That got disapproved. And the other thing is that you cannot use QR codes, and that's very much because if you scan a QR code, Facebook usually will not get paid. Now, the types of products that you have are going to also have their own guidelines. For example, adult products, you really can't get anything like pornography or things that will go ahead and even promoting sexual health products. You have to be very, very careful. And you also have to make sure that when you are doing something like that, if that is the case, that you make sure that based on your location, that you cannot advertise this kind of stuff to younger people. You can't use most alcohol ads will be disapproved, but you can like promote an alcohol fan page. You can see you can't portray or be targeted to pregnant or nursing women. Cannot include content that would appeal to younger people. You have to be very truthful, and you can't be misleading, and you can't portray people consuming or encouraging people to consume alcohol rapidly. So you take a look at this much more specifically. My gut instinct is let's stay away from adult products. Let's stay away from alcohol, because it just doesn't, there's just too many issues with it. But you can try as long as you keep these guidelines. Now, dating is an interesting thing. Now, one thing is that you cannot, again, use sexually explicit pictures. And in actual fact, right now, dating is very, very hard on Facebook. You have to be pre-approved. It doesn't show that here, but if you try to push a dating offer, even if it's your own, you might have an issue with getting approvals. A couple things to keep in mind. You have to segregate men and women, and you can target the relationship so that the targeting parameter must be set to single and or not specified. You cannot go ahead and push a dating product to married people. The age targeting parameter must be set to at least 18 years of age, and the interested in targeting parameter must be set to men or women, and it can't be both. So you have to go ahead and segregate that out. You have to make sure that you don't use vulgar or profane or insulting language. As you can see here, looking for a girlfriend, find a date today. Those are acceptable, right? But chat with boys on Facebook is not acceptable, or one message for you, or single and lonely, because that makes somebody feel bad. The other thing is that there is a restriction for dating sites that have a primarily sexual emphasis and have something to do with finding a wife or whatnot like that. So dating is a tough niche. It's a tough niche on Facebook, and if you get too edgy, you will get disabled. Now, financial services is kind of interesting. And again, it has to do with not having too forward leading statements, okay? So you have to have accurate statements. Like, for example, if you use this one that's instant qualifications for everyone, that's an untrue statement. Not everybody is going to qualify. Ads or sponsored stories may not promote payday loans, paycheck advances, or any other small short-term loans. Lending service. All ads and sponsored stories should accurately represent lending rate for lending services in the text itself. Need lending help? Lenders USA can help. 15% annual fees and no money down. Unacceptable is something like, will save you 30% immediately. See, what we're talking about here is just following the law. If you look at what the Federal Trade Commission has to say about forward leaning or untrue claims, so you can't say something like, I will save you 30% guaranteed, but you can say you might qualify for a 30% reduction. So it's a way of spinning the communication. Gambling and lotteries, again, ads and pages may not promote online gambling, games of skill, or lotteries without prior authorization from Facebook. And guess what? You're just not going to get it. Now, gaming applications like for fun might be okay as long as it's clear. And you can take a look here on lotteries. And you got to understand, they made these ads to these guidelines to protect the end user and to help. Remember, this is family friendly. In areas like adult products, adult alcohol, dating, financial services, and gambling and lotteries, there is a lot of fraud, which is also the case in any of these particular issues here. So health and fitness, okay, ads and sponsored stories may not contain before and after images. That's just, or images of unexpected or unlikely results. All right, so this is acceptable, like a really, healthy person, but the before and after or these fat pictures are not. Language, ad or sponsored stories may not call attention to perceived imperfections through the use of language, like, are you fat, balding. Instead, text must present a realistic and accurate information about a state of health, or in a neutral or positive way. So from a sales standpoint, let's face it, if you can say something like, are you fat or balding, that might get more of a reaction, but it breaks terms of service. So acceptable are things like, want to lose weight, healthy tips for weight loss. Unacceptable, lose 25 pounds in 25 days, or feeling fat. Okay, that's just how that health and fitness works. And it makes sense because of what's going on. Now, lead generation, this is where we live and breathe. Any advertised or sponsored offer or opportunity must fully disclose the offer terms and conditions, meaning commitment length, cost, etc., and include a privacy policy discussing how information about the person is collected or used. Now, I say that you should have a privacy policy and all that stuff on every single page and every single site. And all you have to do is make sure that that's in the footer. But the landing page must disclose how the person will be contacted, meaning email, phone, whether any data will be shared or sold to third parties, what that person will be contacted about, and who the person will be contacted by. For example, if you're running an education lead generation or a sponsored story, you must indicate whether the people are going to be contacted by a third party. So, for example, learn about a degree at the University of Phoenix by signing up to receive more information from our reps. Include link to privacy policy. Unacceptable, get a degree in tech. Now, this example here does not provide any information. So your landing page must really have all that information. But if you have links in the footers and you are ethical about it, it's not a problem. Now, pharmaceutical products, this is interesting. Prescriptions and online pharmacies, no. Dietary and herbal supplements, yes, with the exception of products that promote anabolic steroids, chitosan, comfrey, some word that starts with a D that's way too complex for me to say, dehydrated progesterone, and human growth hormones, melatonin, and any additional products deemed unsafe or questionable. And it is by Facebook at its sole discretion. So if you have health products and they have any of these ingredients, you cannot advertise them here. But you can advertise health products as long as, again, you don't go ahead and make unreal claims. Prohibited content, tobacco, that includes e-cigs, weapons of any kind. And then also, no inflammatory, derogatory, personal, political, and religious content. No hate speech, okay? Cannot sell spy cams or surveillance equipment on Facebook or counterfeit goods, okay? Fake documents, pornography, penny auctions, all of these are prohibited content, and that's that. Software, ads and sponsored content may not contain or link directly or indirectly to a site that contains spyware, malware, downloads, or any software that results in unexpected, disruptive, or unfair experience. So it just means that, just can't be unethical and have forced downloads and whatnot. And that's just good business practice. You cannot sell software that sneaks onto someone's system and performs activities hidden to that person, may alter, harm, or disable or replace any hardware, or that is bundled in as a hidden component. And that is just all good practices. Violates or infringes on intellectual property. So but software in general is great. Now, here's interesting, subscription services. So if you have continuity, ads for subscription services must comply with all these requirements. Ads for products that require a subscription must make the subscription terms evident to people in the ad copy. Subscription required. The ad text must also describe the services or product in an accurate way. Ads must fully describe business models without concealing specific details or hidden offers. And this is because a lot of guys gamed the system and took advantage by forcing continuity without really complete disclosure. Ads must target people above the age of 18. Landing page ads must clearly describe and display the terms and conditions. This can be a summarized version of your terms and conditions as long as you communicate the most important information, including how to cancel the service. It should include a link to your privacy policy. Display an empty checkbox so that people check the box in order to accept terms of service and condition. A lot of times you go ahead and try to force a checkbox and somebody has to uncheck it. They're saying that the person has to causatively check the checkbox. Clearly represent the price of your promoted service, including any details or recurring charges. So what's acceptable is sign up and receive your favorite audiobooks today, subscription required. Unacceptable, check out our ebooks today. We have great products to choose from. And it doesn't tell you about that. Free trials, ads for free trials must clearly disclose the components of entry. If there will be a recurring charge behind the free trial, the landing page must clearly disclose what the charges will take place and how much it'll be. So free trial for 2 weeks on all your favorite movies is okay. Unacceptable is unlimited free movies because the text doesn't disclose this. All right, so that's on subscription program. Okay, so work from home and multi-level marketing, ads for get-rich-quick schemes or other money-making opportunities that offer compensation for little or no investment aren't allowed. Now, that doesn't mean you can't sell a biz op. It just means that you have to frame it in an accurate sort of way. So make $10,000 today is not going to work, right? Make $10,000 for a $30 investment is not going to work. And let's face it, nobody's going to go ahead and make $30 from, $10,000 from a $30 investment. Now, multi-level marketing, I'm sorry, they don't like network marketing. They don't like MLMs. So you will not be able to use ads for that. But for the most part, as long as you frame things accurately and don't make claims that can't be backed up, you're fine. In addition to that, you have to make sure that you don't use the Facebook brand in anything. You don't use their intellectual property. You don't give the impression that Facebook has approved or is behind what you're doing. You can't break the intellectual property agreements of anyone else. And you have to also keep in mind that you cannot promote as ads and sponsored stories, okay, as far as a community, illegal activity. You can't harass others, no hate speech. You can't really go ahead and target minors, no sex and nudity, and you have to keep the shock value to a minimum, okay? Now, here is the ad tracking policy, and this is really kind of important. We're committed to protecting people and their data. So, data collected as a result of display advertising on a person, impression tracking data, is allowed only on a limited advertising products as designated by Facebook. So that is really what Facebook does. You can't really track impressions, but any vendor collecting impression tracking data, okay, a third party ad tracker like any of these networks like Perfect Audience or AdRoll must be certified by Facebook, and they are. Now, here's the other thing is data collected as a result of a person clicking on advertising is allowed on most advertising products. Click tracking data may only be collected through a use of unique tracking URL off of Facebook. And that's when we talk about conversion tracking. Promotion and sweepstakes. If you use Facebook to communicate about or administer a promotion, okay, you are responsible for the lawful operation of that promotion, and we know that, okay? And just so you know, negative feedback on ads does impact you as an advertiser. Keep in mind what this is all about. We're going to go into how do you do ad copy and everything else, so that should handle that in a pretty simple way, and also how to find the right audience so they're willing to have it. But you're going to have a certain amount of people who are not happy that Facebook is ads driven, and that's just the way it goes. All right, so that's it on Facebook terms of service, ad policy, and guidelines, and I will see you on the next video.